Welcome back. An anonymous Ukrainian researcher infiltrated the servers of one of the most powerful Russian-affiliated cyber criminal groups, posting the data to Twitter. The data reveals the TrickBot group's plans to attack and disable more than 400 U.S. hospitals during the peak of the pandemic in 2020. This as concerns grow of a potential Russian cyber attack in the U.S. as a form of retaliation for supporting Ukraine. Joining me right now is NetChoice Vice President and General Counsel Carl Szabo. NetChoice works to make the Internet a safe place for free enterprise and free expression. And Carl, it's good to have you here. What is your reaction to all of this in terms of finding out the plans of these hackers?
You know, thanks for having me on. This is an important issue that doesn't really get enough coverage. I know you've tried to raise it, but if you remember just a year ago, the Colonial Pipeline hack, which actually sent our gas prices soaring for an entire week. And for those of us who remember the blackout in New York City a couple years ago, which was basically a glitch in our energy system, imagine the power to shut off the electrical grid for the Eastern Seaboard for a week. Imagine the power to shut down the energy system for the U.S. for an entire week. That would decimate this country. It would destroy the society in which we live. This is the real danger that we live under. And this hacker group was responsible for trying to impede the ability of hospitals to save lives. This is a very serious issue. And unfortunately, what we haven't seen is enough activity from our administration. What we saw with President Biden after the hacks on the Colonial Pipeline happened was he turned to Vladimir Putin to ask, hey, can you just not attack these systems? These others we're not going to talk about, but if you attack these systems, then I'll be really upset. What type of message does that send to the hacker groups of the world? No, we need to crack down on them. And fortunately, the private sector is leading the way. What we are seeing is every day, private industry is fighting these hackers time in and time again. And what we are not seeing is help from our federal government. What we are not seeing is help from this administration. In fact, this administration sees the government as the solution. And if we allow our cyber defenses to be treated the way our energy independence has been treated, we're going to put ourselves in an incredibly bad situation and even more danger for the American people.
Yeah, it's a great point. What about Google issuing this warning for billions of Chrome users? The company said that when the search engine is used on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, it's vulnerable to a new zero-day hack. This is one of the most dangerous forms of attack because the vulnerability is known to the hackers before Google can fix the issue. The company announced yesterday that it's rolling out new features to enhance access to trusted information, Carl. But with the word is out on the Chrome, how can Americans protect themselves from falling victim to these kind of cyber attacks?
You know, it is really scary. And what we are seeing is constantly the bad actors are probing day in and day out, kind of like a velociraptor in Jurassic Park. They're trying to see the weaknesses in our systems. And when a weakness is discovered, they will exploit it with all the force that they can. Now, businesses are caught in kind of a tough place, though. If they announce, hey, there's a vulnerability, there are a lot of bad actors who have not yet discovered that vulnerability and will try to pierce through. But one of the things that we are seeing actually up here on Capitol Hill, Senator Klobuchar, for example, has a piece of legislation designed to break apart America's tech businesses and make it harder for them to analyze, get the best minds, and fight these bad actors. And at the same time, her legislation actually would create more vulnerabilities, more exposures. So what do Americans need to do? We need to update our systems. We need to install the latest software. We need to update those apps. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. But you know what it is also a pain in the butt for? The bad actors. Every time we close a hole, it makes their lives harder. So yes, as Americans, we need to update our Chrome web browsers. We need to update our Microsoft Edge browsers. But by the same token, we need to give private industry the tools, resources, and trust to innovate, develop, and secure us.
Well, that's not going to happen with all the rules and regulations coming out of this administration. Now experts are saying that Russia could be behind a new phone scam. It's targeting Verizon customers reportedly getting text from their own phone number saying that their bill for the month is paid for. The text includes a link to a gift that sends them to a Russian TV website, Carl. What should people do when they receive texts like this? How do you know that this is the scam so that you don't click on it?
It's really scary. That attack is really scary. This is the type of thing where it would say, hey, click here and your bill is paid. Fortunately, this one was a little benign because it just sent you to a Russian disinformation site. And when I say benign, that means what is potentially really bad is really bad. Imagine it being sent to something that looks exactly like your bank account, where you enter in your bank information and suddenly bad actors are able to steal all of your money. Imagine it's sent to a link where you think it's the IRS and you enter your social security number. Now you're subject to identity fraud. This is an incredibly scary attack because it's akin to people calling up somebody like my dad and saying, hey, give me your bank account information, your kid's in trouble.
Right,
and so what do we need to do?
Carl, thanks
we
very
need to
much.
make sure that government doesn't get in the way.
All right, we'll be watching all of that. Carl, thanks very much. Carl Szabo joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.